Welcome, everyone, to the Chicago Football Connection podcast. I'm your host, Steve Letizia. Follow me on Twitter at CFC Bears. Joined by my co-host, as always, Luke O'Grady. Follow him on Twitter at Luke O'Grady. It's been about a week since we talked. Not a whole lot going at this point in the offseason. Not that the draft's over, free agency is over, but there was the NFL is still trying to grasp and hold on to everyone's attention. So they did their schedule release last week.
It honestly feels like sometimes, like it maybe from the outside looking in, it's just like not as big as we think as we're football fans, but it really does feel like the NFL does like an amazing job at making everything an event. Like
They do. As
the
much
way
as I
they
hate
release
it.
the schedule in other like leagues isn't. To be fair, it's hard to be cool about releasing 82 games kind of thing, but
Yeah.
like the NFL does it so well.
I mean, yeah, and
Watch,
it's a
there'll be
huge
like a whole
spectacle.
event for it, like in 2 years.
For sure. It's a huge spectacle, and you know who your team is playing. Like everyone knows who's playing who. It's just kind of the order, but it's still a big deal. So we thought we would come on and do our record prediction for the year for the Chicago Bears, obviously.
Yep.
So we're gonna go, instead of going game by game, we're gonna go quarter by quarter, and kind of discuss each quarter where we think kind of the high end is what they could do, the low end, and then ultimately where we think they'll land. At the very end, we'll both have a record prediction. We have not talked about this beforehand at all, so I have no idea what Luke's going to say. Luke has no idea what I'm going to say. We'll see how, it'll be interesting to see kind of how different we are, or if we're maybe the same. But I think we're not going to win 3-4 games like we did last year. So I think we'll definitely be above that.
We're both probably starting to hit that really, really optimistic point of the offseason where it's like anything's possible.
Yeah. I mean, that's what May is for NFL fans. If you're not optimistic in May, like, what are you doing with your life? Why are you a fan of your team? Like, go do something else. Because like, if you can't be optimistic now, you can't be optimistic ever.
I know, especially with the draft having passed. Like, you have such a clear vision of what your team is probably going to be.
Right.
It's like sometimes if it's in March, you've been like despondent. Like to be honest with you, before we drafted Justin Fields and we were going into the draft with like Andy Dalton as the QB, I was like,
you gotta watch 17 games of Andy Dalton. This is gonna be awful.
Still almost tried to do it to us.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about that because we have, regardless of what happens, I'm gonna look forward to all 17 games of the season because Justin Fields' development and just it's a fun young team. So this is gonna be a fun season.
Yep.
Regardless of the record, but we're still gonna try and predict the record and probably be horribly wrong.
You gotta think, just to some extent, to jump back to it. In the next, it would be like almost a missed opportunity for the NFL in the next like 2 or 3 years. If they didn't just do like a schedule release show and just like brought in your favorite players from each team to announce it. Mm-hmm. Like had a bunch of people watching, getting all hyped about it, doing basically exactly this, but like revealing it when they're doing it. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, imagine telling people 10 years ago that the NFL draft was going to be the biggest offseason event that millions of people watch. They'd be like, no one watches that. And now look at it now. So like
a piece of paper. It's like, not anymore, it isn't.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure when they do that, because that's definitely coming, people at first will be, and I'm talking about myself, will be like, I'm not going to watch that. That's stupid. And then they'll be, predicting. There'll be mock schedules coming out all offseason.
Yeah. The problem is, if they were smart, they would do it in a way where they would hide your opponents as well. But since their system, and it's a good system, is like formulaic, and as soon as the season's over, you're like, okay, I know who I play. They have to basically just go, well, this is when.
Yeah.
But we got ours.
All right. Okay. We got ours. Let's get into it. So we'll go. We're doing this by quarter. So 4-4-5 because it's the 17 games now. So we're gonna start. Obviously we skipped the preseason, regular season. I'm just gonna read off the first 4 games and then we can talk about them. So first game, week 1 at against the Packers in Soldier Field. Obviously leading off with the Packers. That's a big game. That's gonna be exciting. Week 2
kickoff. Love it.
Yep.
Week 2, red zone at the 1 o'clock window, and then you just sit in for your Bears game. So good.
I didn't even think about that. That is actually perfect.
Fantasy team going in the middle of the day. Oh, so good.
Week 2 at Tampa Bay. That's a noon kickoff. Week 3 at Kansas City. That's obviously going to be a tough game. Another game of the week 325 game. And then week 4 is against the Broncos in Chicago at noon on CBS. So those are your first 4 games of the year.
Yep.
I guess I'll just kick it to you. What do you think their record is after those first 4 games?
I kind of went back and forth. I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the grand optimist, and I think there are other stretches in the season where it makes sense, where we might get hot. So I went kind of conservatively, went 2-2 here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only guaranteed loss, I shouldn't say anything's guaranteed, but the one that seems like it just like looks like one of those games where the Bears are going to learn a little bit that day, and that's against Kansas City. We're going to Kansas City. It's going to be America's game of the week. It's 5:25 on Fox. And I think we're probably not going to win that one. But Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Denver, man, they all look like winnable games. Denver could be a really much improved unit with Sean Payton. The worst part of their team is now probably going to be one of the strongest assets of their team. But, until they can prove that that's the truth, and it's not just, Sean Payton was good with Drew Brees, yada, yada, yada. I think all 3 of those games are winnable. Now, I don't think we'll win all 3 of them, so I'll put it at 2-2.
I like what you said about Kansas City. I agree. I don't think we're being Kansas City, but I do think that's a good barometer game early in the season to kind of see how we stack up against the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to get blown out, on the road in Kansas City? There's no shame in losing, by a couple touchdowns in Kansas City. Or are we going to hang tough with them and probably not win, but, keep it within a score and look like we have a chance. So I think that's going to be a very interesting game, but I do have that as a loss. I thought about going 2-2. I think I'm gonna be conservative. I'm gonna try and be very conservative with this. And I think 2-2 is kind of like the ceiling, because I think you beat Tampa Bay, you lose to Kansas City, and then you probably beat one of the Packers or Broncos.
Yeah.
But I think it's also realistic that we lose both the Packers and Broncos.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-2. I thought about going 1-3. I wanted to just to be different, but I'm gonna go 2-2 because I do think the Broncos are gonna be better. I like Sean Payton with Russell Wilson. I think that's going to be a good offense. It's not going to be, what's his name, Nathaniel Hackett, Broncos team. Like, that's going to be a better offense.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to be a tough game. I think they're going to start out 2-0 and then lose the Chiefs, lose the Broncos. So I think I'll go 2-2. But
that's a totally real situation for sure.
But I also think 1-3 is a possibility, unfortunately, and I also think 3-1 is a possibility. Like,
I'm telling you that there is a world. Let me just paint a picture for you. The Bears' offense should be much improved. We believe in Justin Fields. Should be a lot of stuff they should be able to do if he's advancing through the offense. They say he will. Kansas City's defense usually gets better as the season goes along. Mm-hmm. And if there's a chance that maybe we have a game where we win one, where we go, 35-32, it's not insane to think that the Bears could be at least in that game late. Now, that's obviously on the upper echelon of expectation of that. More than likely, like we said, we're going to get pounded in that one. But if we lose like Green Bay and Tampa Bay straight, it wouldn't be crazy to have, a full week off, be on the America's game of the week. And Kansas City lost to bad teams last year. The Bears aren't a great team, but they have enough. We beat up a good Patriots team last year. We can be there sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, any given Sunday. I mean, the Chiefs are going to lose a few games this year. Why not to the Bears? But yeah, I mean, I think just like realistically, do the Bears have a 0% chance of beating Kansas City? No, but it's a lower. It's a 10, 15, 20%.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want to go, but it's a low chance. But yeah, I think 2-2 is very doable, and I think when it comes to the 2023 Chicago Bears, I view this very much as a stepping stone year.
Yep.
I want to compete for a championship. I don't think that's going to be the case this year, but I do think competing for the NFC North is definitely doable this year. But that doesn't mean they necessarily have to win the NFC North for this season to be a success. They could, go 9-8 or even 8-9, and it could still be a success depending on what happens. Maybe their offense scores 30 points a game and they just don't generate enough pass rush to keep teams under 30 points a game. So I think that would be a success. And then you're just a few pieces away defensively next offseason to actually compete for a championship. Yep. So I think 2-2s in this first quarter is very doable and actually pretty realistic too.
I'm with you. 2-2. I think the same thing. I think, honestly, we could win 5 games, and if Justin Fields throws to their 3,500 yards and rushes for 800 and has 28 touchdowns, I'm all in.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and I think if we want to win this year, that's what Justin Fields is going to have to going to have to do. I don't think our defense is really there
No.
to the point of we don't have a championship or even contending defense. I think I'm pretty confident about that. Unless
if we do, it's not readily apparent.
right, yeah, it would be a surprise. So, but I think offensively there is some potential with this team.
Yep.
So this could be a playoff contending offense and a middle of the pack below average defense that probably missed the playoffs. So
there was a lot of really weak aspects of this unit last year, and obviously a little bit of unfamiliarity with the scheme added to it. But it's hard to you got to give credit where credit is due, and Poles has done an awesome job of addressing the things that were glaring needs. He absolutely went out and got a wide receiver one when it didn't look like one was available without taking a risk in the draft. And then he went out and got someone that, fits the mold of exactly what we wanted in our right tackle. Yeah, sure, the way that tackles develop, you probably aren't going to get a Pro Bowl level player in his first year. But as far as securing that position down for Justin Fields, you got to love that move too. So, it's really hard to not be optimistic about the way the Bears offense should be trending.
Absolutely, yeah. And like we said, if we're going to be winning games this year, it's because of the offense, which seems crazy to say because obviously that has not been the case in every Bears fan's lifetime. All right, so we both have them at 2-2 after first quarter.
Yep.
Taking a look at the second quarter, so we have a Thursday night game at Washington, so a short week there. So at Washington in prime time. 4-day break, but then we have a long break here before at home against the Vikings. So a divisional game with a long break. That's always good to see. That's at noon. Then the next week is against the Raiders at noon, and then a week later we are going to the LA Chargers for I believe that's a Monday night game. Or was that Sunday night game? Sunday night game.
Sunday night
against the Chargers. So that'll be a fun game to watch. But all right, so the Washington, Vikings, Raiders, Chargers. What do you got?
Yeah, we get our first little mini bye, like you said. We got 10 days off between Washington and Minnesota, and the Bears did good things off their mini bye last year. It was probably their most impressive game of the year, which speaks to the coaching. And I'm excited because we have a couple of those this year on top of having our bye week, and it's we have 8 days off between Detroit and Minnesota. We have our bye week, and we have the 10 days off between Washington and Minnesota. I'm excited to see if they come out as prepared as they had in those opportunities this year. We could steal some really good games, and because of that, I think we'll probably beat Minnesota there, and then Los Angeles, Washington, and the Chargers. We'll probably lose 2 of those. So I reckon I had at 2-2 again.
Interesting. I thought you were going to go 3-1. I considered 3-1, but I did land at 2-2 as well. So far we are right on. And I kind of thought the same thing. I think actually no, I do think it's a little bit different. I think Washington's probably a win. They don't have a quarterback. I think we beat Washington. Thursday night games I know we got one. Thursday night games are always tough. Those usually go either way, pretty coin flip. But I do think we beat Washington. Vikings, having that long break before the Vikings. I like that. Obviously, like you said, we played our best football after that extended bye or whatever you want to call it. Last year, coming to Chicago. It's a winnable game, but I think, it's a winnable game. But Raiders, I think, are going to be better than people give them credit for. I like their defense. I think, Garoppolo. I mean, I don't think that's a big downgrade from Derek Carr, to be honest. And then at Chargers, that's on Sunday night. That's going to be a tough game. But that would be a really nice game because, I know we got, the Thursday night game, but Thursday night games that's our first real primetime game, I'd say. And that would be kind of like a, we arrived moment. I think if we go to LA and beat the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, I think that would be very eye-opening. I think that would be a moment where the entire NFL says, okay, maybe the Bears have something going here. So that will be exciting. But I think I can't go more than 2-2. I don't think here.
I have this current ticket prices for every game in front of me here. Do you have them?
No, I do not. What do you got?
So funny that you mentioned that about that game. That game, as it stands, currently the 3rd cheapest ticket for the Bears this year.
It's LA. No one cares about football in LA. That's got to be what it is, right?
But it's the Bears.
Are we doing a LA road trip to watch the Bears? I'm
It's
in.
more expensive to play the Browns in Cleveland. I guess to be fair. Browns love their Browns, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They
Anyway,
do.
yeah, I was surprised because I looked at that. I mean, we could probably get into what our favorite games are after, but if that's not my fucking favorite one, man, it's close. It's an awesome game. I think exactly like you said, that game I got bookmarked. I want to beat that team. I fully want to beat that team. Those guys are chaos to themselves sometimes. They're totally beatable. That would be a really nice Justin Fields moment. I want to beat that team. Sunday night football, come on.
I do kind of so with these four, I think the Bears beat Washington, and I think they lose to the Chargers. And I think it's they'll either beat the Vikings or the Raiders. That's how I got to 2-2. Yeah. But I will say that the Chargers, I think, are not unbeatable. It's not like going to the Chiefs. Like, dude, I think that's more of a 50.
With the best in the league, and then they will absolutely play down to whoever they play. Like they're just always in the game in the fourth.
Exactly. That's exactly my thinking, is that the Chargers are just a beatable team, even though they might be more talented on both sides, especially defensively. But I think that's a winnable game. If we're being like really optimistic, I would say there's a chance the Bears are 6-2 at this point. But I think that's really optimistic. So I'll stick with my 4-4 at this point.
Range of outcomes is kind of why we're doing this, because there is a world where we're 7-1 or something. But I think most likely, depending on how much of a coin toss some of these games are, I say through 8 games we're probably 4-4.
And I think that's fine, because I think this is, as we saw last year, this was a team that got better
4-4.
as the year went on.
Won as many games, more games than last year.
That's a good point too. So 4-4 would mean we're not picking first overall next year unless the Panthers decide to shit the bed. But I think most Bears fans would be okay with 4-4, given where we were last year and knowing the direction of the football team.
Yeah. All right. Next 4. I got it.
Next 4. You got them?
We go to New Orleans, November 5th, Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then Carolina comes to us Thursday night again. That's a 4-day break. Mm-hmm. Then we go to Detroit, November 19th. That's a noon game. And then Monday Night Football at Minnesota. So we got New Orleans, Carolina, Detroit, Minnesota. 3 away games. This is a tough stretch.
3 away games with a Thursday night game, which is the lone home game, is a Thursday night game. So that is a very tough stretch. It is nice to have the long break leading into Detroit, just like we have a long break leading into Minnesota. So it's nice to have, 2 division games after playing on Thursday night, because you get that kind of mini bye. So that is nice. But oh man, this is a tough one. I want to say 2-2, but I might go 1-3 to be honest. That's probably conservative. I think at Detroit and Minnesota, going to those 2 games on the road are going to be tough. I think Detroit's going to be good this year. I think Minnesota still is going to be a tough game at both home and road. I think both of those games are winnable, but I think
prime time Kirk. We're talking.
Okay.
Okay, that's
2 and 2. 2-2. Never mind. I forgot that was Monday night. Yeah, there's no way. No, I'll stick with my 1-3. I think we beat the Panthers. I think we lose the other 3. I think I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to try and be conservative, knowing that if they do better than that, I'm just going to be even more excited. So I'll go 1-3.
1-3. Let me look at this. I had 2-2 written. I see what you're talking about. I really believe that we beat Minnesota on that Monday night. Detroit's going to be good. New Orleans, man, they got to prove it to me. They might be over the hill gang in my mind. The things that made them special, at least like from what everybody recognized to be great about the Saints, are gone now. That's a different Saints team. I think we beat them. Sure. I'm going to go 2-2.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm not scared. It's funny because I'm not scared about any of these teams. Like New Orleans doesn't scare me at all. I don't, like you said, they're not. This is not the Saints with Drew Brees. This is a completely different team. I don't think they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to even be a 500 team. I just think that's going to be a tough game going to New Orleans. Panthers, obviously, are beatable. But that's that. If we're talking about games we're really excited to watch, is that Panthers game. Because as someone who loves the NFL draft, I'm going to be watching that game thinking, win or lose, we're getting a better draft pick. So that'll be nice. It'll be. At that point, Bryce Young should be playing. I don't know what their plan is, but what is that week 7? or what is that?
But we
Week
still
9.
have Andy Dalton.
I think Bryce Young by that point is playing, so that'll be fun to see Bryce Young versus Justin Fields, and then I don't at Detroit, at Minnesota, I can see us losing both those games, and if you slip up against New Orleans or the Panthers, that's 1-3. So I'll stick with 1-3, but I could easily go 2-2 or 3-1. Like,
Man,
I wouldn't be
I
shocked
think
at all.
there's a real like this one might be the toughest one to call. I'd say I feel really good. I feel really good about my call on the next one. I could see a world where it's 3-1. That New Orleans team could beat us. There's a bunch of really good veterans on that team. This Bears team's young, but we should beat Carolina. That team should not be better than us. They should not be better than us. And I really do think we'll beat Minnesota on Monday night. That's just such a game where the Bears have beaten Minnesota the last couple of years every time, and Minnesota loses a couple of games to bad teams every year. Not that we're bad, but you know what I mean. They should be better than us. So I'll stick with 2-2, but that could be a really fun stretch. That could be a very important stretch for the year.
Okay. So just to update, so you have the Bears after the first 3 quarters at 6-6, and I have them at 5-7. So not too far off.
6-6. We've been totally fair. You got them at 5-7. Yeah, that's probably more likely.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like we're trying to be realistic.
Yeah, I could care right. I could care less of my predictions. Like I want my prediction to be right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I could care less. Like I want the Bears to win every one of these games. But just
of course,
looking at it objectively, like what to kind of maybe expect this season. 6-6. We won 3 games last year. That would be we're winning some games. We're starting to be a little bit better than bad teams. That would be totally fine.
And that's exactly the point I was going to make. We improved this offseason for sure, but so did every other team. Every team improves in the offseason. That's kind of just what happens. So we won 3 games last year. If we're 5-7 or 6-6 after the first 3 quarters, that's a huge improvement. If we get to 8-9 games, that's a fantastic improvement and a good stepping stone towards next year. So, but 17-0, we're going. Anyway, okay. So quarter 4, do you want to do this one? Or do you want me to do it?
I'll go. So we got a bye week. We get basically 30. Not 30. Almost 15 days off between Minnesota and Detroit. So we go to Detroit, first game of the last stretch. Then Detroit comes to us. We get 14 days off, and they come home. So Detroit comes to us. That's a noon game on Sunday. Then we go to Cleveland. The time hasn't been determined. Then back-to-back home games, Arizona and Atlanta.
Both winnable.
End the season, week 17, going to Green Bay. That game, time to be determined. If either of those teams are good, that'll be flexed.
Just kind of skipping ahead to that, Green Bay, obviously ending the season against Green Bay. Man, it would be so cool if that game was for like the NFC North, or even a wild card or something. Like just like winner goes, and we don't have to face Aaron Rodgers. It's Jordan Love, and he's gonna crap his pants in prime time. Or
what's so much lamer is a way more realistic situation is that Detroit and Minnesota are playing for the division the same week.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably why it's TBD.
So annoying. Those teams are so much more lame than the Bears and Packers to some extent. At least the Packers is you guys are pretty all time.
Yeah, right. All right. So with the record prediction, I have them. You know what? I had them at 2-3, but I'm going to update that to 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2. I don't know why I had 2-3 originally, because Lions, at home coming off a bye week, very winnable game. I think Cleveland's going to be tough. I think Cleveland's actually going to be really good this year, so that's probably a loss. But Cardinals, Falcons, both those are winnable.
Yep.
And then at Green Bay is a winnable game too. I mean, it's not the Green Bay of old. Like that's 4 winnable games in that stretch. So I think 3-2 is pretty reasonable there.
Yep. Yeah. I actually agree with everything you just said. I got him at 4-1. I got him winning every game we talked about. I think they lose. I think they lose to Cleveland, but I think the Bears are going to start the season 7-7, and I think they rattle off those last 3 wins. I think they rattle off Arizona, rattle off Atlanta, then rattle off in Green Bay. It doesn't matter what that game is for Green Bay. The Bears are winning it to go 10-7. I think that's we won 3 games last year. I know it sounds crazy to say we're going to win 10. But honestly, if the Bears are who we're expecting them to be, even if the range of outcomes is they're even 85 or 90% of what they expect them to be, there's a lot of really fun tools in that offense. And on the lower end of the outcomes, like 8-8 is a totally non-crazy thing to say. If you look at our home games, Green Bay, team that someone you don't really know about, that could be terrible. Denver, don't really know about, that could be terrible. Minnesota, we always have a chance versus them. Las Vegas, maybe. I honestly think that like Garoppolo might be the worst quarterback fit for Davante Adams because he never throws it deep, and that's Davante Adams' best thing. Then we got Carolina at home. We're winning that. We got Detroit at home. I think we can win that. And then Arizona and Atlanta.
Arizona and Atlanta, I think, are two games you have to win. Those are bad teams this year. So. I mean, the Cardinals should be competing for their first overall pick, which they traded to the Texans, but they could very easily be the worst team in football. Falcons, they still don't have a quarterback. Their defense isn't that good. Their offense isn't that good. Like that's a top 10 team, maybe top 5 team, bottom 5. I mean, not top, bottom 5 team probably. So those are two games. If you want to be taken seriously, you have to win both those games. So with your point of being 4-1, then you just have to win 2 games, Lions, Packers, Browns. And it's like we said, kind of talking about Kansas City. I do think the Bears are going to lose the Browns, but it's not a 0% chance. So like maybe you beat the Browns, maybe you just beat the Lions in Green Bay.
We do need to realize
4-1, very doable.
Team is susceptible to trap games as well. It's easy for us to circle Atlanta and go, got them. But Atlanta is absolutely circling the Bears.
Right. Oh, 100%. Yeah. When the Cardinals and Falcons podcasts are doing this exact same show, they're saying
Bears
got them, win. So, yes, that's a good point.
Quarterback's a running back. We have Desmond Ritter. Oh, my God.
Desmond Ritter.
No,
Kyler Murray. Who's
Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, XXX yards expected over someone else. They have Kyle Pitts. They have they're young. Drake London is actually exactly he had an awesome season. Mm-hmm. Like that offense could be good, and obviously it could be a trap game. But like I really do think that this is the only one where I'm kind of letting my homer take over. I've given us 2-2 the last bunch of stretches, and I think I was being fair. I really think there's a chance to go 4-1, and I think that the picture that paints for the last 5 games of the season, coming into it being about 6-6 around even, and having a chance to maybe lose a tough game in Cleveland, but have 2 home games versus Arizona and Atlanta, build some momentum, and play Green Bay in the last week of the season to win 9 or 10 games on the verge of being in the playoffs is a really fun outcome for the Bears in a season where we probably will be hovering around 500 all year.
Yeah.
I want that because if we win those 3 games going into the playoffs and think, hey, we're 4 over our last 5, that's a fun team if some of that stuff starts to mesh in the playoffs. And it really is just make it to the playoffs type league. You don't need to beat a team 4 out of 5 times. It's an any given Sunday thing.
I 100% agree. And yeah, so you have the Bears at 10-7. I have them at 8-9, which I don't I did the quarters, and then now after seeing what they're fun, I'm like, I think they're going to win more than at least 9 games. But I still, I tried to be very conservative, and you did too. I mean, I think we were
good ends of the spectrum.
Right. I think I still think the Bears could finish better than 10-7. I think that's in the realm of possibility. 11 wins, 11-6 maybe is their ceiling probably.
How many games did the Bears win in 2017 before they won 12 in 2018? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think, it's 8-9 is if the Bears did go 8-9, as I said earlier, I view this as a stepping stone season. So if the Bears went 8-9 and their offense was humming and Justin Fields was improved as a passer and the offensive line, and Braxton Jones is playing well. And they just, didn't win games because they had got no pass rush and teams were running on them because, their young D tackles were showing flashes, but not really, dominating like we think they can in the future. I'm perfectly fine with that season, knowing that, then you go into the offseason, you sign a pass rusher, you sign a few, you fill a couple holes here and there, and you're competing for a division and maybe even more going into 2024.
This offseason isn't over yet either. Bears still have the most money in the league, and I think they need to spend something like $40 million still. There's some extensions you're going to have to expect to see from the 2020 players that, Kmet, Mooney, Jalen Johnson, and in effect to Chase Claypool. I don't think anyone other than maybe Johnson or Kmet will get done this offseason. I think they'll give the receivers another year. But like there's still some moves to be made this offseason. So even still, like some of these games where we're measuring it up versus our current roster, like don't be surprised if Poles is it like really active in like the veteran cut market. Remember, the Bears having come last currently right now and for the next like 2 months or like until the season starts have the first priority on the waiver too. So they have the money to spend and will have their pick of the litter when good players become available.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good caveat. Like we did this with the current roster, but you're right. There have been. I mean, Pohl said it himself that they're looking for an edge rusher. He specifically said that they're looking at free agents and they're looking at trades. That something could happen soon. So they are going to bring in an edge. Is it going to be a Yannick Ngakoue or Javen Clowney on like the higher end, or is it going to be a lower tier guy is more rotation, or are they going to trade for a big name? Are they going to trade for maybe a situational pass rusher? We don't know, but they are going to bring in an edge rusher of some kind. Who's only going to help the team. I still think no matter who they get, pass rush is still going to be an issue. But Jadeveon Clowney, one of those guys that they bring him in, that takes it from an 8-9 team in my eyes to a 9-8 team very quickly. And 9-8 is at least in contention for the wild card.
I know. It really is a shame, man. There were so many like good, like young rotational pass rushers in free agency that you could have just been willing to overpay with the money we have now. Like grab an Arden Key or a Charles Omenihu or one of those names that maybe were like second wave guys. And I know we grabbed ourselves some kind of tweener guys, but like it would suck now to have to give up some capital if it was a rotational guy. But that room currently is really bad. I mean, you can maybe expect to see some jumps from the guys last year that were rookies that flashed kind of early on and then dipped out. Travis Gibson, we were hoping he'd take a bit of a bigger step. But there still needs to be a really big influx of talent to that room before the season starts, I would say. If you go in like that, it's kind of malpractice.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for guys to kind of look at potentially the trade market, since Ryan Poles, kind of mentioned the trade himself, like I think a team to watch out for is the New York Jets. Carl Lawson's name has been tossed around a lot. And I think it makes a lot of sense. They drafted Jermaine Johnson 2 years ago in the first round. They drafted Will McDonald this year in the first round. So they got two young guys. They got a couple. So if Carl Lawson's the odd man out, he'd be a guy maybe you trade for. Another guy on the team, if they want to keep Carl Lawson, is Bryce Huff. Is a situational pass rusher for them. He doesn't do much, as a run defender, but just as a situational pass rusher is actually very, very productive. And maybe you can get him for like a day 3 pick. That might be a way that you can kind of improve things, incrementally. Maybe you don't have a great pass rush, but you got a guy who could at least get after rush the passer. I think that is the team to watch. I think the New York Jets, if you're looking at the trade market. But so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
But yeah, there should be, just bear that in mind. The roster will probably look a little bit different when the season starts, and there should be some good competition at its places in the roster.
Yep.
I got 10-7. I think 10-7 is totally doable. I mean, we won 3 games last year, so we could absolutely win 5 games next year. That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, but from a little bit more optimistic standpoint and trying to be fair about most of the outcomes, when you break it down, like I think 10-7 is totally doable.
Yeah, I think everyone watching this podcast is obviously a Chicago Bears fan, so I think everyone is going to be watching this is going to be like, 10-7 is definitely doable. But I think if fans of other teams watch this, they would say, you guys won 3 games this year. Now you're projecting to win 10 games. That's outrageous. But if you think about it, the Bears won 3 games last year, but they lost a lot of one possession games. A lot of close games.
We should have won.
So, the ball bounces a couple different ways, and the Bears are easily 6-7 wins last year, which thank God that didn't happen because everything worked out extremely well. Yeah. But the point I'm making is that it's not crazy to see a big jump in wins based on just that information. And then you throw in the fact that they drafted an offensive tackle, one of their biggest weaknesses in round 1. They, traded for DJ Moore, another one of their biggest weaknesses, and seeing a 7-win jump is not crazy at all. Also, considering that they have a pretty weak schedule, there are some very beatable teams on their schedule this year. So also, I think all that in conjunction,
the only team in the league that doesn't have any games where they have a net negative amount of rest days. They have more rest or equal amount of rest versus every team they play this year. So theoretically, they should be the team in better condition than all the people they play by the end of the year. Um, But we also understand that that's probably crazy. You probably have a Packers fan looking at us because you're going, loss, 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 loss. Going to lose us again twice, loss.
I'd say, is there a point that the Bears go where you would be a record that they would have where you would be disappointed? Or is it really just you don't care about the record so much? It's more about Justin Fields' progression and everything like that. Like maybe their defense really is just awful, but their offense, and that's what loses them games. Then they only win 5-6 games, but their offense actually is like pretty good. Is that a disappointment to you, or is that would you be okay with that as like a worst case scenario? Hopefully.
Yeah, like to some extent, I honestly can't see a world where the offense is at a level where I think it could be, and we only win 5 games. It would have to just be a litany of those one-score games where it's almost like historic. So, like realistically, what I would expect to see from the offense, or would hope to see from the offense, and even just my very mild expectations for the defense, I would imagine that we should probably win at the very least 6 or 7 games. So
I think that's fair.
Like, if Justin Fields looks incredible and somehow we still only win 4 games, I guess I can live with it. But I just think that there's no way Justin Fields looks incredible when we win 4 games.
Yeah,
I mean, he's too dynamic. So, like, I would say 5. If we win 5 wins, I would say, yeah, you guys should have been fucking better this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's kind of where I'm at too. There's a scenario where they win 7 games. I still think there's there's a scenario where it's still a successful season. But yeah, like 5 games, I think that would be that'd be viewed as like
the way it all kind of hinges on Fields. And to be fair, like maybe it would kind of be like indicative of just how good like the current unit is of building a team. But if somehow we won like 7 or 8 games, Fields actually looked bad, like somehow the rest of the team carried us there, I actually might be able to find a way to be sour about this season. I'd be like,
yeah, I mean, I feel like in the realm of like possibility, that's like very low on the possibilities. Like, I think if Justin Fields isn't the guy, then the Bears are winning 3 games. Like that's what's going to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. But we've seen great like things we don't expect to happen. So if Justin Fields does turn out to not be the guy, then the Bears will have their own pick will be a top 5 pick because I don't think they have the talent surrounding a poor quarterback to win more than 3 or 4 games. But that's not what I think is going to happen. I think Justin Fields is going to take the next step, and they're going to win 8-9 games, something like that.
Yeah, 8-9 makes sense. Right. I'm going 10-7.
I don't hate that. I was gonna say, do you want to do favorite games?
Yeah, I was just.
I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but we can kind of just like go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, you go first. You got a favorite game? You talk to me about it.
Oh shoot. I was hoping you would go first so I could take
I have
to look
mine.
at it. But
I don't mine.
All right, you go first.
I kind of gushed about it already, but that Los Angeles game.
That's what I was going to pick too.
Sunday Night Football was so good. Mm-hmm. Sunday Night Football is better than Monday Night. It's better than Thursday Night. It's Sunday Night Football. It's a capstone to a great day of football. You watch football all day. You kind of take your snooze and your break during the afternoon window if your team's not playing, and then you're just flicking on after dinner and watch your Sunday Night Football. And it's versus a fun team. It's a nice dome stadium. If the Bears are healthy, the expectations for that game, man, I want them to show up and look like I want them to be like, that's a game where a lot of people will be watching. I want people to see why, like, what is so fun about the Bears and what could be. That's a what could be game. Go and duel Justin Herbert in his own house and beat him.
I like that. I think that is the number one game I'm looking forward to, but just because you picked it and I don't want to, pick the same exact one. I mean, I'm going to go real chalk here and go week 1 Packers game of the week on Fox. Jordan Love, first like real game against the Bears.
And that's kind of a cool storyline for them.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the first week of the year, so you're already excited. Like you said, you got
so nervous.
You got Red Zone on at noon, and you're watching that, and then you change it to Fox for the game of the week.
So it's so Bears, annoying, Packers. And I know you know this feeling is that there's a slate of games that start at the 05 mark. And then one game starts at the 25 mark. That 20 minutes till your game starts is just like, Jesus.
Yeah, but that, I mean, I think that's the kind of passing of the torch, I'd say, in the NFC North. Packers have kind of run it for the past however many years, 5 years or so, and I think the Bears, the Bears might not win it this year, but it's that's the the Packers are done. The Bears are going to be the next team for the next 5 years that are going to be kind of running the NFC North.
I think we beat their asses. I actually fully
of course
think
we
beat
are.
their asses. The
At
Packers,
home, I think
the last
that's
3 years have lost by double digits all 3 years, and they've looked flat. There is, I guess, range of outcomes. Very few range of outcomes where Jordan Love is any better than Aaron Rodgers was last year. And I think that we're more improved as a team. I didn't love the Packers draft at all. They lost their Hall of Fame quarterback, and it's in Chicago. If the tank is over, if Eberflus has any spine, this will be a really, really big showing for how he gets a team ready for like what you could consider to be a must-win game. Poles didn't straight come out and say, hey, we need to beat Green Bay, but he did mention the division a lot. He said, like, those games are the most important. Like, he needs, like, it's hard. It's almost an inexcusable loss. This is about as vulnerable as you'll get the Packers. If Jordan Love settles in, when we got to go to Lambeau later on in the year, that's a tougher game. If he comes to town and beats us, dude, after Aaron Rodgers has already left, I can't even tell you. I would be so deflated.
Yeah, I would be too. That would be like the the 2019 opener against the Packers that we lost with
one of
Trubisky
those Packers
looking
players
like
is going to go
awful.
into the press conference and say Jordan Love owns the Bears, and we're never ever going to hear the end of it.
Yeah, no, that would be actually awful, but that's not going to happen. I do think we are going to win that game. I mean, Bears Packers is always a good time. So just the fact that it's week 1 and the game of the week and all that stuff, I think that's. But yeah, the Chargers game though, that's gonna be so lit. I mean, the Chiefs too. I mean, seeing Mahomes versus Fields.
Now let's do this one. Try and guess the most expensive game on the schedule.
Oh, okay. I mean, it might be the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs. Well, I know it's in Kansas City, but they're passionate fans. Obviously, Bears Packers are always going to be more expensive than normal games. So, can you give me a hint? Can you give me is it early in the year, late in the year? Give me a hint.
I'll give you a hint. You named them.
Okay, so it's either the Chiefs or the Packers. I'm going to go Packers. It's week 1 Packers game.
Most expensive game of the year is not week 1 versus the Packers. That's actually number 2.
Okay.
Most expensive game of the year is 2 weeks later in Kansas City. Lowest ticket you can get, $273, just to get in the door.
Doesn't include a plane ticket, a hotel, nothing. Just
Green Bay.
I mean, I would love to go to Arrowhead. Obviously, I'm not going to spend that kind of money to do it, but that would be like a bucket list thing to see. So maybe if the Bears are 2-0,
which might never happen.
Yeah.
Green Bay week 1 in Chicago, $206 for second most expensive. $206 as the lowest ticket, man, just to get your nose bleeding. After that, everything is like pretty affordable. The other Packers game is $150. But that Los Angeles game in Los Angeles right now, you can get tickets for $54.
That's nothing.
Stop drinking orange juice this month.
Yeah. Jesus, that's the thing with going to games. Like I just generally prefer to watch games from my couch.
It's the best experience in the world.
It's the best experience. I mean, I'm a baseball fan too. Baseball is a better experience going to the stadium than watching on TV, but football is the exact opposite. So
unless legit bottom bowl, you're watching the screen.
I was just going to say
it matters because you're like, I got to see this play.
Right. I was just going to say that. So if you're talking $275 or whatever it was to sit in the nosebleeds, no way. If I wanted to go to that game, I would have to spend $500 on a ticket probably to make it worth my while, and I'm not going to do that. So maybe I'll go to a Lions game and
dude, that's a good one right now. Week 14, December 10th in Chicago versus the Lions. You can get a ticket for under $100.
All right, well, that's good to know. My girlfriend's dad is a big Lions fan, so we've been talking about going to a game. That might be the one we go to.
Boys written all over it.
Yep.
What are some other good value games here? Some other games that should be fun. Obviously, Week 12's Monday Night Football, Minnesota. Get tickets for $75 right now.
It's not bad.
Great game. Arizona and Atlanta, those two home games to end the year are both only like $60 right now, and that could be a part of a really fun run where the Bears get hot down the stretch of the season. A lot of winnable home games down the stretch. You know, they could that could be a fun time to be a Bears fan. So if you got your tickets early, it could be good.
Yeah, little Christmas present maybe if you're looking for Christmas presents for someone. That's Christmas Eve against the Cardinals, so
Christmas
might be
Eve, good game. Bears on Christmas Eve, dude. And I'm on the East Coast, the East Coast, because I'm Canadian. So that game doesn't start till 5:25. You get a little Christmas Eve snap on. It's already 9 o'clock when the game's over. Next thing you wake up.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Game. That Arizona's another team where it's like, yeah, they probably have us circled as an easy game to win, but it really does look like a game that we should be in.
100%, yeah. Also, I'm just looking. I mentioned this before. I'm looking forward to the Panthers game because we have their first round pick. Like I think we'll win it, and it's a Thursday night game, which I don't love, but at least it's prime time.
We
so
hate the Thursday night games. It's brutal.
But I just like the matchup. I want to see Bryce Love versus Justin Fields. I think that'll be just a fun game.
The thing that's fun about that game is based on the schedule, man. However good you think the Panthers will be, like historically, rookie QBs don't lead teams to a lot of wins. But either way, depending on how good you think they'll be, man, like that team when they come to Chicago in Week 10 could have 3 wins. You know, they'll probably lose to Miami, they'll probably lose to Detroit, they'll probably lose to Minnesota, they'll probably lose to Seattle, they'll probably lose to New Orleans. You know, they could beat Houston and Atlanta, and they may be able to win one of the other ones. But if the Bears have a chance to have them leave with 3 wins after 10 weeks in that game, like they'd be securing them, like low key, like helping themselves secure a top 5 pick.
That'd be so nice.
Oh, dude, wouldn't it?
Oh man, that'd be great.
So when was the last time that we never in our adult lives have we ever had 2 first-round picks? And it's been like because of the Jay Cutler trade, and then the Khalil Mack trade, and then the Justin Fields trade. Like we've only had 5 or 6 first-round picks in the last decade.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not only the question is like when was the last time the Bears had a first-round pick? It's like when's the last time the Bears had 2 straight years with a first-round pick? Like
seriously,
it's gonna be crazy.
As soon as Pace got his little grubby hands on first-round picks, he just gave them away.
Yeah, exactly. I was just looking up when was the last time the Bears had 2 first-round picks?
We had like 3 sometime in the 90s. I was looking at this before the draft.
Let's see. This is a really good podcast right now.
I think like maybe like 2004 or something. I think there were some people on that 2006.
Oh, 2003 we had 2.
Yeah.
Michael Haynes and Rex Grossman. That was the last time.
Sexy Rexy.
Yeah. But seriously, no pick in 2022, the Justin Fields trade, no pick in 2019, 2020, no pick in 2009, 2010. So yeah.
No, it should be exciting. Should be good, man.
Yeah.
Any guesses for last before we end it? Any guesses for the least expensive game on the schedule?
It wasn't the Chargers game?
No, Chargers was third least.
Okay.
Coming in at second last, Tampa.
Okay, yeah, I believe that. I mean, now the no Tom Brady, like Tampa Bay fans can go back to pretending not to care about football.
Right.
Who is their quarterback?
Tampa Bay fans can go back to being Patriots fans.
Right, exactly. Who is their quarterback? Is it Kyle Trask?
They got Baker.
Draft. Oh, it's Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be Kyle Trask, but I think it's Baker. They drafted who they draft?
Did they draft a quarterback?
No, I think they tried to draft a tackle, but the Steelers swooped underneath him and got him. Let's see.
I want to say, man, it's crazy. Like,
beat me to it.
What's happening?
Try and beat me to it. We got Cody Mock in the second round. Oh, Kalijah Cansey. Wow, that's actually a deadly draft.
Ooh. I forgot they went Cansey. But yeah, no, I mean, all right. So cheapest option. I'm gonna say the Cardinals game.
No, actually, I guess as a whole, later games in the season they probably always scale up because there's a chance that it really carries some weight. So it's a little earlier on.
Okay, hold on.
It's
Let
actually a
me take
really
one more
funny game.
guess.
We basically played the exact same game last year.
Played the exact same game last year. Oh, is it Washington? Yeah,
How crazy is it that we're playing Thursday night in Washington 2 years in a row?
2 in a row. That is weird.
We were in Washington for that game, right?
Seems right.
I think we were wearing those funny orange jerseys. Maybe we were in Chicago.
It's crazy. I like forget everything that happens last year. Like once the season ends, so I have no idea.
I know what you mean. No, yeah, the cheapest one is that Thursday night game. I think Thursday night probably as a whole always costs a little less. It doesn't kind of carry that like weekend
Sure.
getaway value. Even Monday, you can kind of squeeze. Yeah, it's the weekend, and
Yeah.
it's at Washington. I feel like Washington just hasn't been a big sell the last couple of years with the name change and the mediocrity, and everybody hates the owner, which sucks.
Well, I got a new owner now. Maybe people are gonna start going again.
I think it got vetoed. I think it didn't go.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't think that there is
I
a
missed
new
that.
ownership. I think it was like we agreed in principle to close the deal, and they didn't do it.
I completely missed that then.
Either way, it's really a shame. Like
Anyway.
that's like they have some of the in like the 80s and 90s, they were like one of the coolest teams in the world. Like they had like 4 or 5 Super Bowls, and they had a bunch of cool Hall of Famers. They had John Riggins, and they had Doug Williams, first black quarterback, 3 touchdown passes in the first half.
Washington used to be my second team. I liked Washington because I was born in Virginia, lived in the Washington area, so second. But I hadn't rooted them for years, but at one point in my life, they were like my second team.
You know what's funny is I had like a little bit of a fling with the second team too. When I was probably like I don't know 9 or 10. Is like I like the Bengals too.
You should have stuck with it. You got Joe Burrow now. You should have jumped the Bears and stuck with the Bengals.
We got Justin Fields.
That's true.
I had a Madden game, and for some reason the Bengals came standard as like the default favorite team, and there was like it was Madden 07. There was like pictures of TJ Houshmandzadeh, Chad Ochocinco. I was like, this team is sick, and they kind of look.
That was a fun team. That was a fun team.
Right. Yeah, I think I got the Bears at 10-7.
And I had them at 8-9, which I'll stick with for now.
Unrealistic. Like, let me get excited about the season. If you're even close to that at the end of the year, like that's like deadly. We won 3 games last year. We can't expect much.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, and that's kind of what we've been harping on a lot. That's still a huge improvement, and I have them at 8-9 with the caveat that as soon as they trade or sign for an edge rusher, I'm flipping that to 9-8.
Yeah,
that's my cap.
I really am crazy saying 10-7, but why not?
I don't think you are. I don't think that's crazy at all.
It would be on the lesser range of outcomes. 8-9 sounds so Bears next year, just because I tell you what, going into last year, I definitely didn't think we were going to win 3 games, and there we were.
That's true. And I probably had them at 8-9 last year and won 3 games. So
if I posed as a fan of every team and went into their Reddits and was like, I think the Bears are going to go 10-7 next year, every team in the league's fan base would go, what are you talking? Like, they sucked. So It could just be a homer thing, but it really does feel like a realistic outcome. And like, I guess maybe it's on the, like, that is what I would imagine to be like the best outcome that's like totally possible. Like that season we went 12-4. Nobody saw us going 12-4. Maybe we won 6 games the season before. But
I really don't think 10-7 is crazy at all. I think I would say the high end is 11-6, like absolute high end. Everything goes perfectly according to plan. Justin Fields not only takes the next step, but is like MVP caliber. I think 11-6, and then 10-7 is like not that crazy. I mean, the difference between 8-9 or 9-8 and 10-7 is so it's like a fumble bounces your way, and you're
Darnell Mooney drops the ball against Washington, right? He catches that ball going off the first round pick, but literally single plays in games of inches win and lose games. So you're right, like a couple lucky bounces, and like we went the first quarter of the season. My prediction was 2-2, thinking maybe Denver, Tampa, or Green Bay will beat us, but there's a chance we leave that stretch 3-1. Then we play Washington, Minnesota, Las Vegas, and the Chargers. There's not a 0% chance that we win all 4. Like there are outcomes where the Bears win a lot more games than you'd expect. We could also lose all those games. That's kind of where the Bears are at. It'll be a good season if we really go into each week thinking we have a chance. If by week 8 we're playing the Chargers or New Orleans and we just go, they're going to run us over. We suck. That would be a failed season.
I think that's a good way to put it. I think we should, at no point in this year, should we, besides maybe the Chiefs game because it's early on, we don't really know what to expect. We should not go into a game saying
looking unprepared and feeling like we don't stand a chance. And honestly, in the end of the Nagy era, despite people being like, he won XXX amount of games and never did this and did this and this and this, it was the fact that with Nagy, you'd go into games and go, they're going to beat our asses.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
Like last year, the Patriots game felt so much like they're going to beat our ass this game. We are not a disciplined team that's going to beat our ass. And we went in there and we beat the Patriots. And it was like, okay.
That's very true. And that started the run of, 5 straight games, scoring 30 points or something, whatever it was.
Kind of started the run of seeing what like the Bears could be and what we're expecting them to have an opportunity to be in every game this season. Like a team where Justin can be, 25% with his legs, and then the 75% passing should look effortless. We have better playmakers around them now. We've added a lot of more talent to the defense. The defensive back room got better. The linebacker room got better, and the defensive tackle room got better. The Bears defense will not be world enders, but they also shouldn't be the thing that like sinks us every game. We shouldn't be putting up 30 points every game again.
Right. I agree. I think the only thing I would add to that is I think the defensive line, the interior defensive line did get slightly better. I think they also got younger and more talented. But I think Dexter and Pickens, who I like both of them, there's no guarantee that they come in and you set the world on fire or even contribute in a meaningful way. That could still be a weakness for them. But it's a weakness knowing that you have guys who are going to be next year. You don't think it's going to be a weakness because those guys are going to take the next step. So I think that's in the realm of possibility.
Like last year, our best defensive interior linemen were probably Justin Jones and like Mike Pennell.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, they were bad.
Like who else could you say that played better? Like Angelo Blackson played okay, but honestly,
Armon Watts played okay, but he's not on the team. But like he played average at best. I mean, the guys. I mean, even Justin Jones, I felt like he was probably our best one, as you said. But I don't think he was that good. But I think I like him a lot better in the rotation he's going to be in now.
Well,
than I did as like a full-time starter.
We kept Justin Jones. We added Billings. We added DeMarcus Walker, and we added Zach Pickens and Gervonta Dexter. It's just a really good influx of talent to a room that I guess a good way to look at it could not have performed worse.
Yeah, it's only up from there.
I think Justin Jones had like the second most sacks on the team last year, and he had like 2.5.
Yeah, and that was behind Jaquan Brisker, who's our leading sacker. So. Yeah, and that's a good point about DeMarcus Walker. I do think, is he going to be an edge? Is he going to be interior? I do think his best pass rush reps comes on the interior. So
yeah, he's a better athlete there. You ask him to go be a good athlete on the outside, and he starts to look a little underwhelming. But inside, he still carries some of that quickness.
Yeah, I think that's where he will be a lot on passing downs, and that's why I think trading or signing an edge is so important because it allows him to play on the interior more often, which is where he's better. So it's kind of twofold. It's kind of like you're upgrading two positions by signing an edge player.
Yep. It's that classic case of, when you make your wide receiver 1 better, your wide receiver 2 instantly gets better.
Right. And that's how I felt about DJ when they got DJ Moore. Like I like Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool much more in their current roles than where they were before that trade. Before that we were kind of counting on Darnell Mooney being like that number 1 receiver and be like, okay, maybe we'll draft a wide receiver in the first or second round, and that's a guy who can maybe contribute. So him being number 2 and Claypool being 3 that's perfect.
Yep. I know we said it before, but if Chase Claypool is your 3rd receiver, that's really not a bad room. Darnell Mooney's best work was as a wide receiver 2 with Allen Robinson in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 1,000 yards. Or maybe it was even last year.
Yeah,
I think it was the year before. Sorry, the year before last.
The year before, yeah. I mean, because then with Chase Claypool as your 3rd, you're talking about a guy you can move around and kind of use as like a mismatch guy.
Yeah,
because he is a mismatch guy given his height, weight, speed, everything. Like you don't have to just stick him on the outside and say get open. you can get creative with him, move him around, and kind of get him matched up on a linebacker with creative motions and stuff. And I think that's where he's really going to thrive.
Yeah, I think when he came out, I think Chase Claypool was like number one RAS. Like he was one.
Yeah,
he was 10.00. Yeah,
yeah.
Which is always every year it feels like it gets the needle gets moved a little, and you're like, whoa, this guy's 10.
Yeah,
like I think Zach Kuntz was 10 this year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so him being a third and a mismatch guy, I think is exactly where he needs to be.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? One more thing. So we are doing a giveaway on Twitter. If you don't follow on Twitter. So I do want to mention this. We're doing a Bears jersey giveaway. Just because we got 10,000 followers on Twitter. So I want to thank everyone for following us. And it's been awesome this past year. And we're really excited about, what we can do as we grow. And so we want to do a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. You could go onto the CFC Bears Twitter. You'll see it. It's my pinned tweet. But all you have to do is just retweet the tweet and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this and you are already subscribed, you're entered. Just go retweet that tweet. If you aren't subscribed, please do and go retweet that tweet. You might win a Bears jersey, whatever Bears jersey you want.
Yep.
I should say any player. No custom $400 jerseys, but any player you want on the NFL shop, we'll get you. So really excited about that. So make sure to go find that tweet, retweet it, subscribe, all that stuff. So
cheers.
Yeah. So that'll happen. August 13th is the first preseason game. So that's when we're doing that wrap.
Oh, unreal. Okay. Perfect.
All right.
That's it. What we
settle
on? 10-7, 8-9?
10-7, 8-9. I think that's good.
It's a far cry from 3 wins.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Again, subscribe, retweet, any support you can give us. We greatly appreciate it. But we'll be back next week.
Just one of you guys watching this, if you've made it this far, thank you.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. But just one of you watching this, just go post it on your Twitter. We know you enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, we killed it, as we always do. Also, Luke has been doing shorts now on the YouTube channel, which have been awesome. We're continuing to do that. So those are really cool. So if you don't want to sit through an hour and 2-minute podcast, you can just watch those shorts. So that's good too. But also listen to the hour and 2-minute podcast. Do both. So yeah, again, thanks everyone. And we'll talk to everyone next week. Bear down.
Bear down.